Welcome back, America. As we've been discussing, the most essential component in our nation's current fight against woke education policies is parents, whether it's protecting their kindergartners or fighting educators or school board members that preside over decisions made at the high school level. Parents within the grassroots of America should always maintain control of their students' future. And here to help us round out this special report is someone who has her finger on the pulse of what Americans really want. Janae Stracke is the Vice President of Field Operations at Heritage Action. She oversees their grassroots army. And of course, Heritage Action is our sponsor for tonight's very special conversation. Janae joins us right now. Janae, great to have you back on the show.
John, thanks so much for having me.
There is such an exciting movement going on in this country. Political reporters from the local level all the way up to the federal level, they sense it, they see it, they're chronicling it. Parents have gone into school districts and said, we are reclaiming our children's education. Tell us about some of the most exciting developments at the state level where victories are starting to really rack up.
Yeah, John, it is exciting. And, it's unfortunate to find ourselves in this position, but I'm so grateful to see millions of Americans all across this country stepping up, as you said, parents that are saying, no, the school does not own our kids. We are the parents. We are the best advocates for our kids and making decisions for their lives. And they're fighting for that. And again, as I said, it's unfortunate to be in this position, but it's so encouraging to see parents stepping up. And there are dozens of states working on this in a variety of ways as well. We talk a lot at Heritage Action with our grassroots army of sentinels that we will fight for our freedoms, and in this case, our children, in every front possible. So at the state lobbying level, there are dozens of states that are passing parental bill of rights. They're passing education savings accounts so that parents can choose the best education to suit their child's needs, their unique needs. We also are passing help not harm bills so that kids can get through adolescence without chopping off healthy body parts. And then we could even talk about the student loan bailout at the federal level and the fact that the Biden administration is trying to shackle our kids with somebody else's debt. This is going to be something that Americans pay for forever. So there are a lot of different ways that the left is using children as political pawns, experimental pawns, and millions of Americans are stepping up everywhere to fight back, and they're doing it at every level of the government.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And states are really starting to create a model. I think our founding fathers intended that when they created the federalism system that makes our constitutional republic so great. You mentioned the student loan fight, and maybe at the beginning of this, people don't associate that right away with the parental rights movement, but that money comes from somewhere. And if that money goes and pays off debts for what Senator Blackburn recently told us were really gifts for the rich, it takes it away from places where it could really help our children. Talk a little bit about how this has a downstream effect on the next generation of children coming through our schools.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, this is an absolutely unfair bailout that's, as you said, going to benefit mostly wealthy people that decided to go get an expensive degree because universities are going to continue to jack their prices up. And now the Biden administration wants to bail them out using our taxpayer dollars. And this is going to hurt the generations to come in America who are stuck with the debt and economic cleanup from something like this. There are millions of Americans across this country that chose not to take out student loans, and they will be the ones picking up the tabs on this. So at a time when inflation is skyrocketing, families everywhere are struggling, and they're looking at the education system and seeing how their kids are being indoctrinated instead of educated, and they want to choose something else for their kids. Where is that money going to come from when they're paying off someone else's student loans? They're paying twice as much at the gas pump, and Congress continues to spend. This is hurting parents today trying to make the best decisions possible for their kids, and it's going to hurt those kids for generations to come who have to clean up that payment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a credit card that's already way over its limit. Jay, I want to ask a little bit about some of the dynamics in these school districts. We have seen a remarkable decline in reading and math proficiency children are no longer proficient in the reading skills they're supposed to have at their grade level. Why that's been going on, you don't see many school districts focusing on how we're going to fix that, how we're going to augment that, how we're going to get back on track. Instead, there are all these ideological initiatives. There seems to be a gap between the intentions of some of these woke school boards and school districts and the actual job of getting student performance up to snuff. Tell us about that gap and how you're beginning to close it.
That's a great question. I mean, like I said a moment ago, our school system has become an indoctrination mill, and teachers seem to be more concerned with making sure the kids come out knowing how to protest than they do reading and writing. And that's exactly why parents everywhere are stepping up and saying, okay, we want choices. What are we going to do? We're going to homeschool our kids. We're going to send them to a private school. And they don't want their taxpayer dollars going to these liberal mills of indoctrination. And so they're fighting for education savings accounts. And if anything, this is creating competition in the education system, saying to the local school, step up your game and we'll keep our kids all in the school system. They want their kids to have a quality education, and parents will do whatever it takes to get that. So whether it's through education savings accounts or again, what are they being indoctrinated with and how are they having to protect their kids? In many of these cases, it is targeted around the sexuality of these children. They're little kids and they're going into the school system and they're being told things that just simply aren't true. That if they are confused about how they're feeling that day, that they might actually be a different sex. And some of the other bills we're passing at the state level are given name acts. There are many schools that have in their examples of this all across the country of teachers and school administrators helping a student change their name, start using the opposite bathroom, going through this so-called social transition of switching their sex, and they're purposefully not telling the parents. So we've got bills across this country as well as called Given Name Act that requires the school system to notify the parents so the parents can be a part of that conversation with their kids. Like I said, we want our kids to be able to navigate adolescence without being told lies from the left and coming out of it with irreparable, harmful damages from surgeries that were not necessary.
Yeah, so true. A lot of parents and grandparents are watching tonight. They're probably listening. They've been inspired, and they're going to say, listen, I can't stand on the sidelines. You can't win a football game being on the sidelines. You've created a toolkit to get anyone who wants to get into the grassroots army and make a difference. SaveOurSchools.com. Tell us a little bit about the resources that parents and grandparents can find there to get into the fight.
Yes, thank you so much. At SaveOurSchools.com, there's a number of different resources, everything from model language for legislation, some of which I've talked about tonight. There are other resources, how to run for school board, understanding how your school board works. So even if you're not the one running for school board, that you can go to those meetings and hold them accountable, know who they answer to, and many other resources. I encourage you to go to SaveOurSchools.com and check that out. And you should sign up to be a Sentinel, where you'll have access to our staff. You can go to heritageaction.com/Sentinel or text the word join to 51776. That's join to 51776. We want to help equip you in your unique circumstances, in your community, in your state. What are the tools that you need to fight? If you don't find them at SaveOurSchools.com, reach out to someone at Heritage Action that we can help you. Together, everyone's doing their part. We're going to protect our kids and save this country.
Yeah, so important. Knowledge is power. And Heritage Action has proven that time again under your leadership in the grassroots army, whether it's ESG or election integrity, now parents' rights. We're making a difference across this country because of the grassroots army you put together, Janae. It's such an impressive job and great to have you back on the show today.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, folks, on that note, we're going to conclude our special report tonight with some great thanks to our sponsoring partner, Heritage Action for America. And remember, you can get involved in the fight by going to Heritage Action's special website set up specifically to save our education system. It is, as Janae just mentioned, www.saveourschools.com. There, you'll be able to see how you can take action, lobby your legislatures, and track legislation that could impact your students' lives. Once again, visit www.saveourschools.com. Until next time, we hope that we leave you a little bit better informed tonight about the policies and solutions that you have an opportunity to access in your local community to make our schools better. And with that, I want to ask that God bless you. I want to thank you for watching. And I look forward to talking to you again real soon. Good night.
The greatest threat to our national security is the debt.
America's poor and middle class have been ravaged by this pattern and practice of abuse.
It's because politicians in Washington cannot stop spending money that we don't have.
We can balance the budget. Our states do it. Countries do it.
Republican majority in the House will not vote to raise the debt ceiling without significant budget reform.
We need to attach to it fiscal controls or other spending cuts. The numbers always rule in the long run.
It's got to be different. It has to be, because the consequences of staying on the same course are too devastating for us to contemplate.
The debt limit is actually the tool for the American people to put Congress in check.